I'm gonna reset just so it's an official speed run. And here we go. So I'm just getting right into it because we're gonna have plenty of time to talk about this game. It's a 40-minute run, and we're gonna have time to talk, trust me. You're gonna hear a lot about just random stuff that drifts into my head during this run. So, Heisei Tensai Bakabon, and I probably completely botched the pronunciation of that, is a pretty standard run-right platformer. Kind of. Except the developers just kind of... how do I put it? The game is well executed. It really is. The animations are fluid, the controls, well, they're controls. There's not really any glitches. What makes the game bad is it was developed explicitly to frustrate you because you're in control of this rather unintelligent middle-aged man. And they really wanted to convey the feeling of this guy through the game. And, you know, to fully understand that, you have to understand the history of the game a little bit. This game is based on a manga and a cartoon in Japan called Tensai Bakabon. I'm gonna take safety milk here. Milk restores your health. But, yeah, it's based on a long-running cartoon and a manga. And the only way I can really compare Tensai Bakabon to people who haven't seen it is it's basically Japanese Simpsons. And one of the main characters is Bakabon, who is a school child who's not very bright. Okay, I got that. That's pretty tight. And this is his father, who is just known as Papa in the game. And I tend to refer to him as Papa-san, just because he looks like a Papa-san. But throughout the series, the two of them are kind of stupid and kind of butt heads, and that's where a lot of the dramatic tension in the show comes from. I gotta walk over here and bop this guy. So a lot of the tension comes from them being kind of slow and kind of dopey. So the developers made Papa here handle kind of slow and kind of dopey, as you can tell from the movements I'm performing. One of the main pain points of the game is momentum. Papa-san here takes about 5 seconds to get up to full running speed. It works kind of like P-Speed in Mario 3, except it's terrible. And if you try to stop from full running speed, he comes to a skidding halt and takes about 5 seconds to completely stop. I'm gonna take a hit here, yep. That's fine. So if I were going for world record strats, I would try to just go on this half a heart, but I would rather not die, so we're gonna take safety milk. I need running speed. Hop. So one of the things about this game is even when it's executed well, it doesn't really look like a speed run because Papa-san handles like an office chair on an ice skating rink. So it's gonna look like I'm going really slow and handling really poorly, but trust me, if I wasn't speedrunning per se, it would look a lot worse, except for that part. We're gonna pretend I did that on purpose, but I actually didn't. Milk does not fully heal you, it gives you 3 hearts. So milk gives you 3 hearts. Ramen, which you won't ever see me pick up because I don't hopefully need it. Whoops. Ramen gives you an extra heart container. And you would think, well, if you're doing marathon safety, wouldn't you pick up a bunch of ramen and go through the entire game with like 10 hearts? And the answer is yes, except every level you get your heart containers reset. So the max health you can get is 8, but you don't hold on to it because every level you get your health reset, so that's why I don't bother. We're just gonna faceplant into this bird because we don't care. If you have 3 hearts, it fully heals you. So in addition to that, every couple of levels you get an extra heart container for free that you actually keep. I'll be finishing the game on 5 heart containers, which is woefully inadequate, but we have to make it work anyway. Because in addition to having your health reset every level or so, the animation to eat ramen takes like 8 seconds. And I don't have 8 seconds. Hidden switches are a thing. If you were playing this game blind, you would be stumbling around looking for hidden springs a lot. Wait here for a second, let this jerk bird go by. And then we have a cameo coming up from a character in the comic who goes by Mr. Policeman. Hello, Mr. Policeman. Another thing you'll notice is I'm coming to a skidding stop as I enter doors. The reason for that is if you run into a wall at full speed, you will faceplant into it and take damage. I will actually intentionally show you that in a couple of levels, so keep your eye out for that. It's a really cute animation, and it wastes about 5 seconds in a heart. There's one of these in every level, that you pull out your umbrella and get into a sword duel with something, and what the something is depends on the tile set of the level. We're in the circus tile set, and then in addition to circus there are 3 more tile sets, each one containing 4 levels and a boss for a total of 20 levels. At the end of every level you get Eel Dog here, who is literally named Eel Dog in the comic, show up and give you milk. Which gives you, like I said, 3 hearts. But that milk is special in that if you manage to go over your max health with the milk given to you at the end of the level, you will actually store an invisible bank of HP. And in the event that you run out of health, Eel Dog will actually show up and give you milk during the level, drawing from that bank of health. I don't fully understand the ratios. Also, that hook doesn't actually exist. I've never managed to hook it. Anyway, the ratios I don't understand them, but using the route I'm using now, I have an understanding of how many extra Eel Dog saves I have. Coming up is a pixel-perfect jump that if I get it will save me 35 seconds, and if not, I lose 35 seconds. I don't think I got it. Oh, I got it! Haha! So if I missed that, I would have gotten hit by a bird, fallen down, and had to spring back up twice, and it takes about 30 seconds, all told. That's a huge reset point when I'm, like, trying to get a PB. Which I haven't actually tried to get a PB in this in some time, so... My last PB happened on accident during Marathon D-Rust, and I just kept it. I call that the Circus Force Super Jump, for reasons that are hopefully obvious. This guy is predictable, but you have to wait for him. So like I said, every tile set has 4 levels and a boss, and we're on level 4 of Circus, which means I'm gonna get clawed by a lion. No, that's usually not what it means. Yeah, the hidden lions are pretty good too. There's a couple of them. I'm gonna grab milk here. This is actually the end of the level, but there is a non-zero chance that the game will glitch and send me flying into spikes in a moment, so I want the health. Just, you know, marathon safety. This is a little... Okay. Little hook thing there. The reason I'm worried there is about 1 times in 8 when you jump off of a hook, the game will glitch out and send you flying at approximately the speed of sound. And you will miss a hook and fall in spikes. I have not managed to get it consistently enough to actually use it in a speed run. It only just shows up when I'm not wanting it. This is the creepiest clown in the world, and the only way you fight him is to catch his balls. Okay, moving on. And this is all he does, is he rolls back and forth juggling, and you have to catch what he drops. He can be a jerk and throw a short ball and then a long one, and you can't catch one of the two. You just don't have time. I'm hoping he doesn't do that. Like that. I managed to get it though, because that wasn't a completely short throw. It's totally random, and then after you catch about 16, the quote-unquote fight ends. And that's it. So now we move on to tile set number 2, the dojo, where we have these SDF moles. Hi, Frog. It looked like I could have stood up there, but I actually couldn't have. If I had tried to stand up there, I would have taken damage from the bamboo spikes. We're going to take an intentional damage here because the falling animation takes about 5 seconds. And then we jump into Homer Simpson Ninja. These guys will never do anything threatening to me. So he's out of here. In this situation here, you can actually spring up off of that in such a way that you faceplant into that brown armoire thing there. But I'm going to show you a faceplant here. That's what happens if you hit a wall at full speed. Hopefully that's the only time we'll see that. So we're going to come into the basement section here. I will point out there are certain glyphs in the background. Those are manji, not swastikas, so you know, let's all be mature here. It's a Buddhist symbol. We can technically... Nope, I didn't make it. That is a pixel-perfect jump to make that, and if you stay up, you can just do that. Let the spikes go by. Every level has 3 sections to it. There is an above ground, a below ground, or an indoor and outdoor and a basement. Let's call them that. Uh-oh. That's okay. I was trying to stay up there because there was milk up there, but, I goofed. We'll go with that. Anyway, there is an indoor and outdoor and a basement section in every level. And you can tell from the music what section you're in. That was actually a gold split. Huh, okay. I mean, you can tell from looking that this is... Most speedruns are games of like frames, or maybe seconds. This is a speedrun of minutes. Quite frankly. If you make a mistake, not only are your animations super slow, and it takes you forever to recover, but everything in the room is on a global timer. So if I mess up my speedrun rhythm in a room, I don't know what's coming anymore. Anyway, as far as indoor, outdoor, and basement go, like I said, you can tell by the music and also by like the image, the tile set, the sprites. This kind of like funk music almost is indoor. The really happy sounding music is outdoor, and then the really, really chill, sort of sedate, bassy music is basement. And usually the motif for each is indoor is kind of in the middle, outdoor is fast moving levels, and basement is slow movement puzzles. This is the outdoor section. Whoop. That's totally okay. I usually take an extra hit in here. And like I said, we were doing a lot of marathon safety stuff. I'm gonna... Well. So we're gonna get to see the save from Eel Dog. This is what happens if you run out of health. I have another one of those this level, so I'm still safe. Ramen, don't care. We gotta wait for this guy to get out of the way. There is no way to, like, get in here if he's in the way. You just take damage and get stuck anyway. Because Papa San's hurt animation is, like, not 4 seconds long, but it feels like 4 seconds when you're speedrunning, I assure you. I had scheduled picking up this milk in the safety strats. I practically don't need it now, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Just to keep my mental rhythm going. It's Eel Dog, Unagi Inu. We're at the end of the level. Dojo 2 here was kind of goofy. I made some mistakes, but we should be safe. Just to be absolutely sure, I'm not going to take the damage boost here that I should probably take. Instead, I'm going to try to jump into the trigger for the fight, which worked. I got into the fight trigger, which means it canceled my falling animation. And we should be good to go from here. That's Dojo 2. Oh no, I know a little bit about the lore. Yeah, the one time Papa San's knees work is when you jump into an event trigger. Also, his arms are incredibly strong. If you fall the entire height of the screen, you'll be okay as long as you grab a ledge on the way down. Kind of like Prince of Persia, actually. Alright. We're gonna drop down here, because I like dealing with frogs. Frogs are awesome. You can see the screeching halts that I end up doing there. These spinning scythes, their hurt boxes are actually in the bottom right corner of them. So you'll see me go through the blade a lot and actually not get hurt. Yeah, I want to go into this next section with full health, so I'm going to go ahead and heal up here. These are safety milks that I would be skipping if I was going for PB, and I would just be praying that I got enough extra health throughout the levels prior that Eel Dog will show up and save me if I die. But because we don't fully understand the math behind what decides when he shows up or not, I'm not going to risk it. Alright, spiders. Another thing of note that I'm going to complain about now is when you jump, there is a lockout period before you can jump again. You can do a buffer jump like this and be fine, but if you jump and take a step, you have to take 3 steps before you jump again. And usually that manifests itself as me thinking I can jump, and I don't, and then just run straight down a pit. Fortunately, there's no such thing as death pits in this game, as you'll probably see later. That's really bad. There's another example of it. I took half a step, so it wouldn't let me jump again. Which means there's a lot of buffering jump inputs. You also saw me take my umbrella out there for a moment. The umbrella is activated by both going into a battle and pressing and holding B for a moment while not pressing any other input. So if I'm trying to get a running start somewhere, which is also B, I have to move first and then hit the B button. If I do it the other way around, I take my umbrella out. And that is a very long and costly animation, and it makes me unhappy, and I grump and complain about it. The bats are super cute. So everything in this game is really well animated, and it's kind of a shame the game is so terrible otherwise. Move it, mole. The mole's always in the way like this, by the way. There's the falling animation if you haven't seen it enough. So this is the outdoor level for Dojo 4. If I do this right... Come on. I can just go right across the top and we're good. If you do it wrong, you end up going, like, down into the lower half of the level, which is how a lot of the dojo levels work. Dojo outer. Alright, we're good. So we're gonna drop down here in the one tile I can fit and sneak in under the frog. If you just try to damage boost through that frog, you'll actually go into hurt animation, and it won't let you go in the door. So you can actually just get hit chained there by the frog and just never go in the door and die. Yeah, and that's what this game is. It's a bad game programmed for an actual reason. Having watched some of the cartoon, I can tell you that the way Papa-san behaves in the cartoon is pretty analogous to how he controls in this game. It feels right, having seen the cartoon. And I don't know, it's weird in that I think if someone along the way had decided to dedicate more focus to gameplay rather than accuracy, it would have been a wonderful game. But they didn't, so here we are in Big Bad Game-a-thon. So it's actually kind of funny. I learned about this game from watching a streamer by the name of the Great Gildersneeze, who used to do just random streams where he would fire up a NES flash cart and just play a random game from it, and he came across this, and it looked so awful I had to try it, and I sat down, and not only did I beat it in one sitting, but I apparently, at the time, did it faster than the fastest recorded playthrough, which was a Let's Play, it wasn't a speedrun. Anyway, story time over. This is Concerned Frog, who has eaten a ninja, and we have to rescue the ninja by grabbing his coin so he can buy his way out and bribe the frog to let him go. So he needs 5,000 bucks, which we're going to get by swinging around the arena and picking up coins. Now here's the thing. In this era in Japan, rapid inflation is a problem, so the coins are becoming less valuable every minute, which means they're only going to be worth about 400 bucks by the time I get to them. And since he demands 5,000 bucks and he's economically savvy, he's not taking face value. He demands, you know, real value here. And this is the entire quote-unquote fight, is we just flip around grabbing coins. They're usually worth 400. Optimal would be 12 coins, all 400s except for 2 500s, but that's incredibly rare, so I usually go for 13 coins, 400 each. And then I have 200 bucks for myself. We're probably going to be doing 14 coins because I mistimed that. The only way you can take damage is if you manage to completely let a coin disappear. Which I almost did there. Another useful thing is that it is not possible for a coin to spawn in the same place twice. So I can make assumptions about where the next coin is going to be. That was a pretty bad frog fight, all told. But we paid off the frog, he freed the ninja, and now we're on to the gym. This is the third tile set. No, the boss fights never involve combat. The only combat in the game are the umbrella duels. So we're gonna whip out our umbrella and walk across this tightrope. And jump into the next trigger with Karate Man. Karate Man's actually kind of a butt, and I'll show you why. That can hit you 4 times if you just try to stand in it. It's not fun. But now that he's done it, I'm gonna corner him and beat him down and move on. More safety milk. See, I mean, even when this is executed well, it looks more like an exhibition than a speedrun, just because of how clumsy everything is. Whoop! Whew. We're okay. Getting whacked here usually results in taking 2 or 3 hearts of damage because you fall straight down when you take damage, and then you land in the spikes and bad things happen. Also, for some reason, the gym has a portal to the North Pole, so here we are. There are actual ice physics, so I'm not even going to try to stop for that obstacle. If you try to stop, the stopping window from a full run in this area is literally 10 seconds. Don't even try. That's why I'm triggering these while walking slowly. I will try to show you that, probably in Gym 3's ice room is a good time to show that. We're gonna do a little trick here where I land on the B, and that cancels my falling animation. Otherwise I would have been sitting there for a second. Didn't make that, I don't think. Nope, that's fine. That's a little bit less fine. Every now and then, swinging off hooks glitches like that and you don't actually go anywhere. That's probably the one bug in the game that I'm aware of. We gotta let this guy get out of the way. Oh! So I was in the middle of a very, very short skid there, and it wouldn't let me jump. We could actually go under here. Don't you dare. Oh man. We're in a little bit of danger now, not gonna lie. Because I take a lot of damage boosts in here. I'm gonna try to eliminate some of the boosts for safety. I do have an eel dog save queued up. I'm not gonna be able to finish him before he rages out again. So these guys move around pretty randomly, and if they back up when you're fighting them, you're just kind of in danger of What am I gonna do here? Oh, okay, I know what to do. And then we gotta duck under all this. Oops. That's okay. I'm gonna be careful for the rest of this room, and then once I finish this level, we will be back to having 2 saves from Eel Dog and out of danger. So usually I would take a damage boost here. I would intentionally land on a shot that one of these guys is firing, but I don't want to do that. I'm just going to take the hurt animation, and the reason for that is there is a very good chance I'm going to take a hit here. Yeah. Whoops. Well, another thing is you're not actually aware of how many iframes you have. You don't flash when you take a hit, but it's about half a second, and I thought I could get through all 3 of those shots before the next shot, and I couldn't. So I now am 100% sure I don't have another save from Eel Dog, so we gotta be careful. Fortunately, we're at the last little bit of the level, so just a little bit of caution should be all we need. These boxing gloves punch exactly 9 times and then stop. And you have to get by them, you have to abuse the fact that for some reason Papa-san doesn't actually care about his head. So you just kind of wait for them to stop while he's punching you, while the glove is punching you in the face, and then go. So Gym 2 and Gym 3 are probably the scariest parts of the run for me, to be completely honest. There's a lot of damage boosts that I routed in. I do most of the level at 1 health when I'm doing a speed run without marathon safety, and usually if I die I just reset. But I don't think you want to watch an additional 25 minutes of this on top of what we're already booked for. We're just gonna plow through him, whatever. This is the last room of the level. If we make it through here, we'll get our Eel Dog milk back. So, at the end of each level, you hear a certain number of chimes as you're waiting for Eel Dog to show up. I believe that represents the number of saves you get. I don't know that for certain, but anecdotally, it's always been the case that now I have, because I heard 2 chimes, I have 2 saves from Eel Dog. You would love an additional 25 minutes of this? Well, jerk. This is one of those sync rooms where if you go through there correctly, everything just lines up for you, but if you don't, things get a little out of hand. If you're lucky there, you fall far enough before taking the hit from that boxing glove that you can cancel the falling animation, which is why I did that, but it didn't work out for me that time. There we go. Alright, so here's what it looks like if you try to stop. Whoop. In the ice. I'll try to find a better place for it. I think Gym 4 has a really long run of just nothing, where I can properly demonstrate that. Let's go up here and get the milk, because I was goofing off and took some extra damage. We're gonna jump over another trigger. And the reason I want to jump over the triggers is when Papa-san has his umbrella out, he moves very slow. So I want to jump as far into the battle as I can so I get a drop on Karate Man here. Why does the gym have a polar cave? Doesn't your gym? Uh-oh. Get out of here, bug. It's for bear wrestling. You gotta learn how to wrestle the polar bears. Alright. This is a pretty rough section. Yeah, it's for ice physics training. We'll go with that. Birds are jerks. Bugs are also jerks. That's an intentional hit, by the way. The only way to avoid that hit is to swing on the hook like 5 times. Alright, here we go. Let's try to stop here. So... yeah, I'm having trouble actually demonstrating how hard it is to stop because of all these slopes. Sorry. But trust me, it's about 10 seconds if you're on flat ground. You would think that you would be better off just dropping straight down some of these drops when you have your umbrella out, but it's not better. You don't take the falling damage if you have your umbrella out after a long fall, but you fall at about half of your normal speed, and then you do a long animation to put your umbrella away anyway. So I just don't. So we are actually not going to go that way. We're going to go this way, even though the game is trying to drive me to go that way. Gym 4 is really short, by the way, because you have the boss coming up, I guess. Screech %, yes. So we have the boss of the gym coming up. I guess we got about, if we're lucky, 10 minutes left in the run. This is a hurdles race. And the way this works is, if you beat him, you go to the next level, and if you don't beat him, you die. So we may, if I make a mistake, actually see a game over here, but it only wastes, like, not long at all, because you start over here. But we seem to be okay. Do that to cancel the falling animation, and then we just kind of wait here. Do a dance. Victory dance. Because we cheated. And now we're in the final tile set, the lab. The lab is weird. My routing for this is basically go right and hope everything works out, and I have a couple of things in mind for specific areas. But, hey, I got it. But, the problem is you have a lot of things that can go wrong, and once something goes wrong, like what's going to happen here, all of the enemies and all of the moving platforms desync from each other. So we're just going to go this way. It's a little bit slower than going across the top. These moving platforms are also really awful. We may actually get to see one of the few glitches in the game, depending on how it goes. The indoor levels are all these planetariums, and all that we have in them are the mini-boss fights, with these weird alien things that are trying to mace you or something. I don't know. I've given up trying to figure this game out. The plot is your family disappeared and you're trying to find them. That is the entire plot. I may have come up here too late. We're gonna see if I get hit by the electricity. Nope. Human spray. Okay. Shoutouts to the Reddit robot. And then these are conveyor belts. If it's not visually obvious, you move a little bit faster on them, but not fast enough for my taste. And if we're going to have, like, major issues with the platforms, here's going to be a good warning sign of it. Nope. If you land on the platforms while you have forward momentum, you'll come to a skidding halt. But the physics engine of the game will get into an argument on if you skid off the platform or if the platform caught you, and you'll get caught in this, like, state of quantum superimposition on the very corner of the platform. It happens in a lot of NES games, but in this one it's especially problematic because you can't do anything when you're stuck in that state. All you can do is ride the platform down and hope it spits you out quickly. I could go into an explanation of why it does it, but it involves, like, quantum theory, string theory, you know, quantum mechanics, Schrodinger's cat, or the game is just really weirdly coded. I'm not sure which one. We gotta wait for this thing to hack off because I gotta do a jump sequence over it. If we're quick, we can get in before the cycle with this thing. Take an intentional hit here because we have milk here. As for what milk he's drinking, I don't know. Quantum subpixels. I like that. I'm gonna use that for, like, subpixel perfect things in RNG now. Thank you. And jump. So, the lab is actually less scary for me than Gym is, even though a lot can go wrong. But for the most part, the lab levels are kinda short. It's just a whole lot of animations and positioning that takes all the time up. There's not a whole lot that I have to do, or just everything falls apart. Famous last words, right? Oop. So if you're really good, and I'm not, you can actually get in up here, and then the gas pumps shut off, and you just ride the rest of the way for free, but I took a hit, and everything got ruined. I have not figured out how to get in behind this cycle yet, so I just drop down and take a hit. Then have to wait for the jellyfish to get out of the way, and then you have to wait for this jellyfish to get out of the way. The reason for that is if you boost up with a pogo jump and you hit something anywhere in the boosting animation, the boost just gets cancelled and you fall straight down, and you have no control until you hit the ground. So it's just a waste of time to try to beat that cycle. There's ramen here, but I don't care about ramen. And that's lab number 2. Lab 3 is probably the scariest lab. We have to just do a boost through the acid here, it's the fastest way. I will assure you, though, that all of this is paying off to probably one of the best Kusoge final bosses I've ever seen, so get hyped for that. Take a hit here. Getting rained on by the acid was not part of my plan, but we'll go with it. As far as I can tell, the chemicals dripping out of the ceiling are completely random. I have not been able to find a predictable pattern for them yet. It may just be because my movement through here is not consistent enough yet to make them predictable. Ecto-cooler? Yeah, it's probably ecto-cooler. We're gonna take an extra swing here so we don't faceplant into the jellyfish. Alright, we have to wait now. So there's faceplant number 2. If I was running this at a charity marathon, I'd be donating $10 to something now, just because I shouldn't be doing that. As a result, I'm going to grab some milk here. Unfortunately, this is the slowest milk to pick up, because you have to wait for weird alien dude to get out of the way and for the UFO to get out of the way. And then you have to back up and get some running speed to actually get in on the mini-boss. So that alone probably cost me about 30 seconds, that picking up that milk. That's alright though, we're having fun, right? And the last thing I want to do is die this close to the end of the run. It's been pretty good so far. Okay, oh no, uh-oh. There's the quantum superimposition I was talking about. Quantum subpixels, we'll go with that. Alright. So we were actually fast enough to get in under the helicopters. Now let's see if I can get this really messy jump. Good enough. And now we just ride across the rest of the level up top. If you try to go down there and do whatever the heck is going on down there, it usually doesn't end well, case in point. The rule for these levels is be as high up on the level as you can, usually. So we're just gonna hop, hop, hop. Off of the moving platform and out of Lab 3. Lab 4 is probably the biggest feast or famine level in the game, like the first part of it here, because if you do all this right, you can just go flying across the level and never stop. But once you take one hit, or miss one platform or make one mistake, you're stuck doing this. And, you know, whoops, this is usually what happens in my runs. I believe I got the perfect pattern out of this once. Well, that's fine. Is there milk here or is this ramen? I don't remember. It's time. That's not what I wanted. That's fine. There are options for healing, including just taking the quote-unquote death and having eel dogs save me, which is probably what we'll be doing. We are at the end of the game, so shouldn't be that big of a deal as long as I don't just completely go potato here. These double jumps on conveyor belts are a little complicated. I screeched to a halt there, so now the helicopter is going to be a thorn in my side. But we should be back on pattern now. So yeah, Eel Dog is MVP for this run. And this is the end of Lab 4, and we're going into the final boss. This is something, you gotta see this. So, I call the final boss Science. There are 8 numbers on the screen, there is a computer panel on the right, and there's a timer on the top. Mr. Science here is going to show me a number and I have to run and stand on it without touching any other number. So you have to jump over the numbers that aren't assigned to you. The trick of it is if you are only touching something for an animation where you're doing something else, like skidding or sprinting or jumping, it won't count. So if you do frame-perfect buffered jumps like this, you will actually not trigger the wrong numbers. And he is being incredibly kind to me. I've never seen this. Usually he's sending me all over the place. Like for example, if he sends you from number 8 to number 1... Whoops. Okay, so that's what happens if you touch one you're not supposed to touch. No big deal. But if he sends you from number 8 to number 1, you actually won't make it. You do not have enough time. It's not possible. I usually just throw that away. Whoop, well, too late now. I should have just jumped straight up there, but I didn't. So we're gonna just climb up the long way. There's not really a whole lot to say about Science. You just kind of run around like an idiot doing what this guy tells you to do. We're almost done though. I believe he wants 16 numbers. 8 to 1, like I said, I just throw away. It's not worth going for, because more often than not, you will get to the point where you're hanging from number 1, and during the climb up, it'll run out of time, which is just awful. And there we go. So that's Heisei Tensai Bakabon in about 43 minutes. My PB is a mid-41, so I took a lot of safety. The final cutscene is Papa-san finding his family, and there's a translation patch for this, and even the translation patch makes no sense, I don't know. But I believe the story of it is Papa-san finds his family, and they were just out shopping for the day and then start yelling at him for being an idiot, and then Mr. Policeman shows up to arrest him for beating up 40 people while looking for his family. Because, I mean, he did a lot of damage. He really did. Oh yes, and his wife is a giant. I don't know why. Even in the cartoon and the manga, Papa-san is really short. He's about as tall as his, like, 10-year-old son. So, I don't know. Go figure. So, like I said before, I'm the host for this section of the marathon, so I'm actually going to leave you with Papa-san's face while I make sure the next run is ready. Give me just a second.